Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Podcast. This is Pastor Blake, Youth Ministry Pastor at our Waukesha campus on the Bridge Church Next Gen Podcast. And this is a solo episode today, so you get to hear my voice, but don't worry, I will keep it short and hopefully helpful for you, just navigating life with kids, that this is something that is near and dear to our hearts. We just had our parent retreat last Saturday in the year of 2022, and so that was a great time of parents getting together to hear some expert people talk and to also just hear from each other. We had breakout speakers that talked about a lot of different things as far as keeping busy schedules and how to navigate being a parent, but also a friend, and how to balance law with love, and a lot of really great topics that if you missed, we're going to hopefully be releasing those soon to everybody for you to kind of check out some breakout sessions. But you did miss our keynote speakers, and so next year, I highly encourage you to make some time for it. It's just a great day of parents getting together to talk with each other about what's going on with their lives, and not necessarily getting all the answers that they hope for, but really just creating those friendships and those moments of spending time together. Well, something that I think has become pretty consistent is parents asking questions as far as, hey, my kid is doing this, what should I do? And I think parents are really trying to balance a lot of different things, especially when they have more than one kid that is really pulling attention away from the others. And I think this question of, man, something just came up. We don't know how to address it because, one, we never went through it or experienced it, or we don't want to mess the kid up anymore. And so they'll ask, hey, what should we do? And at this parent retreat, we actually talked a lot about behavior and what are the underlying things that affect behavior. And so today I just want to spend a few minutes talking with you, hopefully encouraging you through this, that, man, this is something that I think a lot of parents face and deal with, is my kid is not having the model behavior. They're not Jesus, right? They're messing up in some way. They're being mean to their sibling, or they're getting in trouble at school. They're not doing their homework, or they're going off into things that they shouldn't be doing. And parents are going, what should I do here, right? And maybe they've tried, punishment, or maybe they've tried their other methods before, and it's still not working. Maybe they tried just pouring out love, and it's like, I know I'm supposed to love these kids through it, and now I got to try tough love, and there's all these different things that really come about. But I just want to encourage you today that your kid's behavior doesn't determine your worth, and your student's behavior doesn't necessarily determine how good of a parent you are. That there's some things that students just have to work through, and I think that's a really frustrating thing sometimes, is that we feel like we're a great resource, we're a great, well of knowledge and wisdom for our kids, and they just don't want to listen. And there's a specific story I just want to share with you real quick about, a silly instance in my life where I grew up playing sports, and if you have kids in sports, I'm sure you've sat through their games, and if you are like my dad, on the way home, you talk about the game, and you tell them all the things they could have done maybe a little differently. Of course, you give them encouragement, but you're like, hey, you could have done this here. It would have been really good. And so my dad would always give me advice about baseball. That was all sports, but baseball specifically, and saying when I hit, I needed to do this specific thing with my arm. I needed to, get through the zone better, which doesn't make sense. I'm getting more technical now, but essentially was giving me advice on how to be a better hitter. And for years, I think he would tell me this stuff. And one day, finally, after I wasn't listening to him, they sent me to hitting lessons. And after my very first session, I was so excited. I went home in 7th grade, and I was talking with my dad about the lessons. And I said, Dad, I feel really good about my swing. And he said, oh, that's awesome. What changed? And I said, well, I'm doing this thing now with my arm where I push through the zone. And he looked at me with a straight, almost like, I can't believe you just said this face. He said, Blake, I've been telling you that for 4 years now. For 4 years, I've been telling you this. And so it's not that you're not giving good advice, or it's not that you're telling them things that you shouldn't be telling them. It's just sometimes kids need to hear it from somewhere else. And so that's just a little story about, man, maybe we need to approach situations differently or let them have an outside resource. And hopefully that can be, people at our church. Hopefully that can be their youth leaders or their kids leaders or somewhere else. Maybe that's a counseling session of people just affirming what you are already saying in them. And so I just don't want parents to put their worth in how their kids respond to things or act in certain ways. And I think a lot of time parents can take that ownership over their kids' actions when really you aren't in control of them the way you want to be, right? We're in control to a degree. We have different rules and we have different things that they will follow. And really, we get to model a lot of the behavior that we want them to see. But when they go to school and they go to youth group and they go to kids' church, it is up to them to make the decisions that ultimately we're going to be proud of, or we're going to be like, why did you do this? Right? And so I just want to encourage you today that is not necessarily a reflection of your parenting when your kid is struggling with things. Maybe it's a gender identity or maybe it's a depression. That is not because you are not a good parent. That's not for any reason at all. Now, how we respond to it could determine a lot. And so I just want to encourage you today with that fact that how your kids respond to different things isn't necessarily an onus on who you are as a parent. But the second thing I want to talk about really quick is that when our kids are experiencing difficult times, and maybe it's like, man, I just cannot find any friends. I can't connect with anybody. Or maybe they are struggling with that gender identity or depression, or maybe they're just constantly acting out in kids' church. They're like never in their seat, or they're like throwing their chair. I don't know what kids do in kids' church to be disruptive. Pastor Phil, that's why I need this Pastor Phil guy here. He balances this conversation out really well. But I'm sure there's things, maybe it's just yelling out or doing things to cause attention. And for us, we just see the behavior and we're like, why is this happening? And I think something that each parent could probably be more intentional about is scheduling time to just spend with your kid. And for some of you, you're like, man, my kid doesn't want to spend time with me at all. Right? And I've heard that from parents at youth group of like, my kid is attached to their phone. They're on TikTok. They're on YouTube. They're attached to their video games. They do not want to spend time with me. And I think something really powerful we can do as adults in their life is not force them to spend time with us the way that we want to spend time with them, but to simply step into their world and say, hey, you are worth me being uncomfortable for a little bit. Maybe it is us creating a TikTok together. And like, that's the worst thing in the world. I fully understand that. I don't like TikTok. I'm not on it. Our kids do it at youth group, and I'm just like, this is so silly. But some of the most fun moments and memories I have with some of them is creating a TikTok together, right? An appropriate TikTok, but still creating a TikTok together. Or maybe it's playing a video game. Like, you're like, man, this kid's always on their video game. I don't know how to get them off. Maybe it's stepping into their world for a little bit and playing that video game with them. Or taking them to the mall, taking them shopping, taking them somewhere with a friend and just saying, hey, I really value spending time with you. You're so worth it to me, and stepping into their world. And for some of you who have older kids that are teenagers that are like, really, I don't want to be around you, and they're not just saying it with their actions, they're literally saying it with their words. Maybe it's just sitting in their bedroom with them while they do something. Or finding a TV show that like you guys connect with on a level you're able to talk about it. But I just really want to encourage parents that you definitely have feelings of like, my kid doesn't want anything to do with me, especially if it's that 6th through 12th grade, which I see a lot. Parents are like, man, my kid is so embarrassed by me. They don't want to spend time with me. And I'm telling you, push through that awkwardness, push through them, say little complaints of, oh, this is so embarrassing, and find something that they love to do and insert yourself in it. And I'm telling you, I think it'll make a world of difference in how they interact with you outside of that one element. And students are going to be broody. Students are going to have their emotions and their feelings going on. Like, that's just puberty, right? And just have some grace with them in that moment. Try to remember what you were like, but ultimately try to invest in them in different ways where they feel valued and they feel loved. And those behavior things might fix themselves. They might not, but at least they know that you're showing investment. You're showing you care for them. And it's not a constant feeling of, man, my parents wish I was different. Instead, it's, oh, my parents want to connect with me. And I think if we can change their mindset of how they think we view them, which we don't, Of course, we love our kids. We don't, we're not telling them you're not good enough, but sometimes that's what they hear by what we say. And so we have to be super intentional about how we choose to interact with them and how we choose to invest in them. And so I just want to encourage you with that today, that you are doing great, that it is very tough parenting, but you are doing an awesome job, and your kids' behavior doesn't determine how good of a parent that you are, but just keep investing, and your kids do want to spend time with you. Man, they value your attention and your love so much, even when they literally say the opposite. So just keep fighting for them, keep choosing to spend time with them, keep making them put their phone up for a little bit and like watch a TV show with you, or go for a run, or go do something with your kids. Play Fortnite. I mean, get just destroyed at a video game and just let it happen. It'll be okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the Next Gen podcast. I hope you have a great rest of your week.